Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Mr. Clerk, would you please take roll call?
Dave Abdallah.
Here.
Bill Bazzi.
Here.
Robert Constant.
Here.
Lisa Hicks Clayton.
Here.
Denise Malinowski Maxwell.
Here.
Ray Muscat.
Here.
Tom Wenzel is absent. Madam Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you. I'd like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Okay. First item on the agenda is the agenda approval.
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Move to approve order of business May 28, 2019, regular meeting of Dearborn Heights City Council as presented.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Constant. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. The agenda is approved. Next, we have approval of minutes. This is the minutes from the regular meeting of May 14th, 2019.
Council Chair.
Who was it? Councilman?
Muscat.
Muscat?
I move that council approve the minutes from the regular meeting of May 14th, 2019 as outlined.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Abdullah. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have public hearing and comment on agenda items only. I ask that you step to the microphone, state your name, address, and limit it to 2 minutes. This is just for items on today's agenda.
Okay, let me see.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not going to take up much of your time. I just have a few things that I'd like to talk about. I live at 5753 Fenton.
Okay, before you go any further, sir, is this on what's on the agenda, or is this in general? Because we do have another section down number 14 where general public can, I just want to make sure you're in the correct spot, because you get more time at that slot than you do at this one.
That's what I heard.
What she said.
Are you talking about something that's on the agenda?
Which agenda item are you addressing?
Okay, you're not talking about any of our business
I don't think
items
so.
tonight.
Okay, we'll call you up on item number 14. That way you can have more time to talk than if you speak now. That's why I wanted to make
I
sure.
don't need very much time.
Thank you. Any other comments on agenda-only items? Step up to the microphone, state your name, and 2 minutes, please.
Hi, Drepkowski, Columbia Street. This is regarding the adoption of the budget. How can we adopt the budget without any information regarding Warren Valley Golf Course? Isn't that in our budget? It was not brought forth.
Thank you.
That's my question.
Thank you.
We can't answer, but
Because we can't respond. We cannot respond at this section. It's just comments on agenda items. Thank you. Any other comment on agenda items at this time? Okay. Let's move forward. We have fund transfers and current claims.
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Move to approve the fund transfer and current claims items 6-1 through 635 as submitted. Sorry.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Constant. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair.
Councilman Bazzi?
There's few items in here that they were charging the water fund, and I'm not sure why it's going to the water fund. The first one, 6.3, we asked for a list of vehicles to see which vehicle belongs to which department. We don't have that, so we can't determine which vehicles that this gas is going to or maintenance. So I'm sure I'm going to get the same answer. That the second item is 626. We're charging $22,547 of fuel to the water department. I didn't know that the water department's using that much fuel. Again, we need a list of vehicles that this stuff is going to.
Director Salmi, would you like to respond?
Same
Board of Finance question on how it gets allocated.
Can we go to the microphone, please? Thank you.
You said 6.3. I don't know what, I mean, they buy general items and then they book it, they do work orders and replace it to other vehicles. I wouldn't know what vehicle it is either, because they just buy like 12 of them. They bought 12 oil filters or something. So and monthly, we do reimbursements. They give us work orders and we reimburse the water fund, the items that were used for the other departments, but it all goes through the water fund and comes back out. I can print reports if you ever want me to show you that these allocations are being done on a monthly basis. The same thing with the gasoline. The tank is at the water department, they pay for it, and then they allocate it out monthly as the other departments use it. They have a card, and then it gets allocated out monthly. That was the two I caught. Was there another?
Yeah, I still like to see, I mean, in a normal world, you will have, digitized fuel pump. So whoever goes, you'll have a fuel card. So if they have something for water department, it will go to that budget automatically.
They have it. It generates it by card number, and the card number is assigned by departments, and then a report is generated monthly by the water DPW department, and then we do the allocation in the finance department for those allocations. When they swipe their card, if it's the ordinance that's swiping their card, then it gets billed to the ordinance. There's a number allocated specifically for each group. So this is just paying for the gas to fill the tank for the allocations.
Council Chair?
Councilman
I think it's time that we do get a breakdown on that once a month of where and how much money gets allocated back to the water, because that's been a pet peeve of mine for 4 years now. And I've always said I don't know where the fuel's going. Okay.
Comptroller Vance, is that possible? You
Oh, yeah, I can do
provide
that report monthly. I can
That would be perfect,
submit
then.
that with the financial reports
Thank you.
monthly.
Thank you very much.
Is that all the questions that?
No,
I'm sorry,
I
Councilman Bazey has another one still.
Yeah, I just still need a list. I mean, we need a list of all the vehicles that the city owns. So
Okay.
whenever we see an invoice here for a vehicle that we're fixing, that we have thousands of dollars in repairs, we don't know what that vehicle, who it belongs to. So I think we need a list that we can go through. So whenever you have an invoice for a vehicle, that we can actually see that, okay, this vehicle belongs to this department.
Okay,
So we
well-
need checks and balances.
We're currently working on that with the fixed asset software. So as soon as I get that in the next couple weeks up and running, then I can probably generate a report by department.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, any further discussion? Councilman
Chair.
Abdullah?
I had a question on number 631 and 635. On number 630, let's start with 635. This would be for Director John Selmy. I just wanted to get a clarification on the amount that we have on the front. It says 1510, but the amount on the inside cover 6-35. On the inside cover, it says 1,003, and this is for the reimbursement for the hotel stay, for the expenses for the Rascal family that we decided to pay for. So I just wanted to get a clarification as to which amount it was.
635.
Yeah, when you look at the bill, it was, the only ones we paid for were the rooms. They were $755, well, the sets of rooms, for $755 for two nights.
Okay.
So 755 times 2 is 1,510.
Okay, and then, so the amount of 1,003 is what? What exactly is that?
I don't know where that came, where
On
that
the
came
inside.
from, but I think that might have been paid for by either the family or someone else, but the 1,510 is
They
what?
stayed longer than we had allocated, basically, it sounds like.
Oh, Salvation Army, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, the rest of that was paid for by Salvation Army.
Okay, that's fine, thank you.
Thank you.
And then the next question is for John Selmy, since the mayor is not here. This would be on number 631. I'll get the right one here. There we go. Yep. Okay, so this is one where we're paying Wade Trim for the Van Born Corridor Improvement Framework. And I want to get it from the mayor, but apparently he's not able to be here today. Can you give us a general update, as far as what's going on with the Van Born? Just a very brief general update, or maybe Wade Trim can do that.
I would glad to, but this was in process before I got here.
No, I realize
And
that.
actually, this invoice has been sitting around for about 5 months, so just trying to do some housekeeping and get it cleaned up, but I think Mr. Brooks can speak to that better than I can.
The first phase is done in terms of the analysis, what different options for Van Born corridor, and we are going to reconvene the steering committee to start planning out, if you want to say phase 2, some short-term actions that can be done along the corridor. A lot of it is aesthetics, some work with the sidewalks, work with the businesses, clean up the area we can. And
So the project's continuing to move forward?
right, continue to move forward. This is an invoice
Any
that,
anticipated date of completion?
well, it's going to be ongoing for years in terms of all the projects to revitalize Van Born.
Okay, thank you.
Council Chair?
Councilman
Along with that,
Muscat?
Mr. Brooks, you know, we're paying for this out of major streets. And my understanding, major streets is to repair the actual road itself. And our roads are horrible enough without us spending money on going door to door to businesses to, you know, clean up their spots and fixing sidewalks. And in my understanding, the Van Born corridor is not going to have any road repair. So why would we be paying money out of major streets that could be taking money away from repairing a Cherry Hill Road that belongs to us or another major road that needs major help?
Well, it's taken out of the road fund, so
well, yeah.
I realize that, but I did not set up the account on what it was taken out of.
Okay, this is something we'll address later.
It's probably in the engineering line item in terms of the road fund.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion on fund transfers and current claims? Okay, at this time, we'll take a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next item on the agenda is consideration of bids. First off, we have Library Director McCaffrey, bid recommendation for Carolyn Kennedy Library Teen Area Carpeting.
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to concur with Michael McCaffrey, Library Director, and award the carpet contract for the teen area at Carolyn Kennedy Library to Library Design. The amount is not to exceed $11,889, and bonds should be returned to all bidding parties as outlined in 7A.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Bazey. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next item on the agenda is DPW Director Selmy, bid recommendation for Fire Department Headquarters Rooftop Unit.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Constant?
I move we concur with our DPW Director, John Selmy, and approve the bid for the Fire Department Headquarters Rooftop Unit be awarded to Allied Building in Detroit, and payment upon successful completion of the work and return of any bid bonds for the unsuccessful bidders as outlined in 7B.
Supported by Councilman Bazey. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Council Chair?
Councilman Muscat?
Do we get any warranty with this? I mean, they're not the lowest bidder, and they weren't the highest bidder, and I was just wondering why we're going with them and
Director Selmy, would you like to answer?
what kind of warranty do we get with that unit?
1 year on parts and 1 year on labor. I think that's pretty much an industry standard.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, under consideration of bids, we have DPW Director Selmy, bid recommendation for Old Orchard Pond Restoration Project. Before I go further, I want to tell Director Selmy that there is no contract attached to this. Is there a reason for that?
Well, I think it's to award the bid, then ultimately the city will engage, sign a contract once the bid is awarded. That's my understanding. It's typically how they do it.
9C.
Which company?
7C.
Yeah.
Council Chair?
Oh, yeah, so typically you award the bid, and then the contractor would enter into a contract with the city attorney's approval and review.
But who has the contract?
That's my understanding how it is done.
Contract
I
first.
mean, who bid on it?
I think we need
We
the
had
contract
we had four
first.
bidders.
It's attached on the back page, isn't it?
Right, there's a bid tab. The process is, once the bid is awarded, then the contractor needs to provide the proper bonding and insurance. It's all put together into the contract document, and then it's forwarded to the city for their review and signature.
The four bidders are not attached, by the way.
Pardon me?
They're on the summary page. You got 4 pages, right?
No, we have 2. Oh, back and front, yeah, we do have 4, I'm sorry,
You got
apologize.
Angelin, VIL, TSP, and Erie Construction.
Council Chair, one more.
Councilman Muscat.
Wade Trim has been involved with this right from the start with all the engineering on how to get all of this done. So it'd be kind of wise to keep them along since they're pretty familiar with this project already. The way I look at it, trying to change a 14-inch wheel to a 17-inch wheel on a freeway after you get a flat tire just doesn't go very easy. So that's my take on that.
Okay, thank you.
Just if I may add one more point, though. On the underground contract like that, once the bid is awarded, like Dan said, then the contractor has to go to the bonding company to get that bond, but he has to take the award with him to get that. And then when he has his bond and his insurance, then he's able to, or they are able to engage in a contract with the city or local municipality.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions on this?
Well, this is to start the process.
So, okay, we need somebody to, I'll read it again. Then-
I make a motion that we table this until we see the contract.
Okay.
I second that.
Okay, all those,
We don't have the contract until we have the bid, till the bid is awarded, because then the contractor has to go get a bid bond to be able to engage the contract with the city.
And I see that, but on the other hand, though, this is also giving us, allowing us to give an authorization for the mayor and the clerk to sign the contract agreement.
Without us reviewing it.
Council Chair.
Well, yeah, or if you approve it, and then we'll bring the contract back to council
Yes.
with the bid bond and necessary insurance.
do we want to change the wording to state that then?
Yes.
Change the wording on that,
Subject to final contract review and approval by the city council.
yeah.
Yeah, I would just recommend that you award the bid to the company that's selected and then leave out the rest. Then they can end up going and getting their bid bond. A contract can be prepared and brought back. And then the company knows that they've been selected because this is time sensitive. And if they are not under the impression that they're being awarded the contract, then we're going to have a real problem.
Understandable. All right, let's do that. We'll do that on the stipulation that they bring back the contract for final approval by the city council.
Yes.
Okay. So we need,
Who made the motion? We can amend the motion just to accept the bid.
I'll amend the motion, the approval of the said bidder in this particular case, their name's Anglin Civil from Livonia, is conditional upon final review and approval by the city's council and the city council on item 17.
Support.
supported by Councilman Constant. Any further discussion? Let's vote on it. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have reports from city officials. We have DPW Director Selmy, Warren Venture Storm Water Operation and Maintenance Resolution and Agreement.
Madam Chair?
Councilman Constant.
I move that we
Sorry,
concur.
Abdallah.
It's okay. I move that we concur with John Selmy, Department of Public Works Director. This is for to approve the enclosed Warren Venture long-term maintenance of stormwater management system resolution for stormwater improvements located at 26919 Warren Road, as outlined in item 9A.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Constant. Is there any discussion?
Looks good. I've already looked at the agreement, and the difficulty is that the agreement refers to a resolution, and there actually is not a resolution that's included. It's like the other one, I had the same problem. And they used to provide a form resolution. Yeah, I would suggest referring it back to the administration, and then
This is the second week in a row.
Yeah, but part of the problem is that this is something that hasn't necessarily been brought here before, and
Director Salmi, are you okay with that, bringing it back the next meeting?
Sure, that's the pleasure of council.
That's what council's telling us. Councilman Abdullah?
Gary, last time we had this thing, the only thing that was missing at the time was the address, and we didn't feel comfortable with approving it without the address.
No, this one, there are two of them.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And the
This-
one had the address, one didn't.
One of them there was no resolution.
There's
That was
no resolution.
The idea, there's no resolution here as well. So, I mean, essentially what
Okay.
you have is you have an agreement, but the agreement in paragraph 1 says that Dearborn Heights shall adopt a resolution to maintain the storm sewer collection system, and there's no resolution that's included. So, and I know that they have forms for this, so we just need to clarify what the county wants, bring it back, and have both of them taken care of at the same time.
But what I'm confused about is why, honestly, I'm kind of, this shouldn't be happening again, because for the party that we are referencing here, last time we couldn't vote on it because of this, and we said we'd meet 2 weeks later and vote on it, and then to come back 2 weeks later and still have something missing, honestly, it doesn't make sense. I'm not blaming you, I'm just asking.
Yeah, no, what I'm saying is that
We
we
got
assume...
Director Salmi up there.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess if that resolution was holding up the thing, then why didn't 2 weeks ago somebody reach out, tell me that the resolution was needed, and not 5 o'clock tonight, because I could have had that prepared also.
Yeah.
You know,
Wasn't the
it's an
resolution
operations
attached last
agreement
time?
with the county.
There was
No,
no
we mentioned
There was a
it.
belief that there was a resolution that was attached to the other one, but that was a misunderstanding in terms of it actually being the resolution, because the agreement contains whereases. So they, someone thought that was a resolution, and that when I looked at this, there was no resolution.
We can't adopt an emergency resolution right now, then.
I don't know. The problem is that the county has specific things in their stormwater ordinance, and if you get it wrong, they're just not going to approve the permit anyways.
Okay, well, then I guess we're going to have to have it come back again. I
I mean,
apologize.
that's fine for my end, just like in the future, if I had known ahead of time, this wouldn't happen.
Right.
You know, instead of getting, notified late today, when it's been out there for a month, so, thank you. We'll bring it back.
Okay. Next item on the agenda, we have Park and Recreation Director Haddad.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair.
We haven't.
Didn't vote, do we need to vote for the motion?
That's what I was wondering.
I'm sorry.
You need to vote to refer it back to the administration.
We're going to refer
I would
it back.
suggest, Madam Chair, to consider referring the other item from last week's.
Yeah, I'm already reviewing it. I reviewed both of them, and I thought we would be done with all of this today. But it wasn't referred to me until the last meeting, so basically I saw it and I was like...
All right, let's move
What
on
was
then.
last
So
week?
what do we need to do, Mr. Clerk? You want us to refer it back and take a vote?
I would, yeah, and
Okay.
being the other one doesn't have the resolution, I think it would be advisable to refer that one back, too. I don't have
Are you
the...
talking 7C?
It's communication 19-177, and that was from 2 weeks ago.
Oh,
19177?
The other address on Ford Road.
It's in your minutes.
Ford Road address.
all right, well, at this time,
Ford Road address, right, Clerk?
It was the MKR Investments.
Fair investment.
Ford Road.
all right, well, let's take a vote on referring this back to Director Salmi
On both.
on both,
Yeah.
as stated by Mr. Clerk. Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Ayes have it. We will be referring those two items back. Next, we have Park and Recreation Director Haddad, the Spirit 2019 Festival Adult Beverage Supplier Recommendation.
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Move to concur with Parks and Recreation Director Brian Haddad, award the adult beverage supplier for the Spirit Festival 2019 to O&W Inc., as outlined in 9B.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Muscat. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
No.
Councilman Bazey and Councilman Abdullah oppose it.
And I'm a no also.
You're a no also?
Patsy?
For the alcohol?
Yes.
So you got 1, 2, 3.
We're going to have to bring it back the next meeting because we don't have any way of breaking the tie.
But just to clarify, in this case, I don't know if we can because the festival's coming up. next week.
The motion fails if there's a tie.
Council Chair,
Council Muscat?
I think that we should consider, this could be our last Spirit Fest. And I know about how people feel about alcohol, because I'm not a drinker either. I don't drink alcohol. But without it, we already going to turn something that's not doing so well into something that's a complete disaster. And I would hope in that we could come together and change somebody's mind here to vote yes for this, just so the Spirit Festival can probably have one last big hurrah.
You know, another thing I worry about too is we have a lineup of bands, and I think that the alcohol helps draw the crowd that will help pay for the band.
That's the beer. And I mean, if you look at all the other...
It could cause us to be some financial problems.
The last, you know, you look at the festivals that some of the surrounding churches have, they go through maybe 4 to 5 times the amount of alcohol as ours do. We have not been much of an alcohol consumption spirit festival in 10, 15 years. And I just don't want to see this festival being blown up just because of timing issue. Usually this comes up, you know, before us earlier. I wish it was, but I can't. I think we need to reconsider if there's somebody that would reconsider.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I wanted to just concur with you, Councilman Muscat, because I don't drink either. And that's a preference, right? And I respect my colleagues who voted no. But I do agree that it is about choice. And I think for the Spirit Festival and the community, when we vote, we're voting not for ourselves necessarily. It's never about ourselves. It's about who you know, our community, who you represent, the constituents. I think not supporting this, and I agree it's kind of late now because we're like a week out, I think it's going to really hurt the festival in such a way that it's a liability for us. I mean, I understand the positions. I do understand your positions.
I do
want you to
too.
know I respect it.
Yeah, Madam Chair. My problem is not so much with the alcohol. I mean, I don't drink, but everybody can do what they want. I have no problem with that when it's an adult type of situation. My only problem is because there's a lot of kids around. That's my main issue with it. I just don't believe that there should be alcohol served in the same venue where there's a lot of kids playing games and getting into, you know, kid stuff. That's my only problem with it. It's just if there was no children, I'd have no problem.
I think they're limited to a certain area.
I know, but that's just my personal view.
They're not sold over by the
Yeah, they're
rides.
separated.
They're
Right,
separated.
they're allowed to have back
I don't
there.
know if you've ever been.
I have.
They
I
are.
have.
Madam Chair?
Councilman Bazey?
Also, I've talked to a lot of residents. I've gotten a lot of calls from that area, the residents, they don't want alcohol in their neighborhood. I mean, that's basically why I'm voting no, is for the residents don't want it in the area.
Okay.
Council Chair. I would note that we have an agreement with Antonio's that basically has them come in and help us out, and it might be considered to be a material change in condition if we were not to end up continuing to have the Spirit Festival held in a similar way. In other words, if the revenue is going to be cut because there are not alcohol sales, that could potentially cause Antonio's to say, no, we're not going to bail you out with regard to this because you've made a material change in the event. So while, you know, I recognize, obviously it's the council's decision, the difficulty is that it may create some liability issues in terms of money that are not anticipated by the individuals who are voting, who voted against the initial motion, and I'd recommend that that be considered.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Constant?
I have to say that I agree with Councilman Abdullah and Councilman Bazey. It's and I've been at almost every Spirit Festival since the first one, but the neighborhood, I don't know that the people serving the alcohol are trained not to serve anybody who's visibly intoxicated. I don't know that not having alcohol there would make that big of a difference. I don't feel that not having alcohol supplied or a beer trailer is a material change with our sponsor for the festival. All our service clubs are there with serving food and beverages, non-alcoholic beverages. But I don't drink at all. The high BAC legislation was my bill.
Okay, so at this point, let's just poll everybody and go with the results. Councilman Muscat?
Yes.
Councilman Constant?
No.
Councilman Bazey?
No.
Malinowski Maxwell, yes. Councilman Abdullah?
No.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton?
Yes.
Motion fails. Thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda is Police Chief Boltatorni Motorola Service Agreement. Now, this one also does not have an attachment. Chief, do you know what that's about?
You received the contract on the first quarter, so this is just reviewing, or the other R word. It's just authorizing for the next quarter. So when the official bid came out, you guys approved it with the contract, and we were paying by the quarter, so this is just one of the quarterly payments.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we...
Council Chair?
Councilman Muscat?
I move City Council adopt this and have Mayor Pletko sign a Motorola service agreement for the period of June 1st, 2019 through August 31st, 2019 for a cost of $15,338.19 as outlined in 9C. And this is something that the Motorola gear is something very important to our police department to be able to communicate with one another.
Support.
Support by Councilman Bazey. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair.
Councilman Bazey.
This question is for the chief. So it's a Motorola service agreement. So the equipment will also be Motorola. Is that the radio or?
It's the dispatching councils.
Okay, they're all by Motorola then, right?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion?
Council Chair.
Mr. Clerk?
We reviewed our records today. We do not have a current agreement. The contract we have expired in April, I believe.
Okay, then,
February. So we do not have an
so
agreement
they're
on
going to have to
file.
refer it back to you to come up with a current
Well,
contract?
Motorola has form agreements that are quite huge, actually. They're very long. If I'm understanding what the chief was saying, it sounds like this was previously approved, and it's just to approve an installment,
Right, but that...
in which case it shouldn't be referred to as approving an agreement. It should be approved as continuing, extending the agreement for another quarter, if I'm understanding what is being said. It's not approving an actual agreement.
We do not have, the contract we have expired in February, and we never received, the mayor and I signed it, and we never received a finalized contract signed by Motorola.
So can we refer that back to...
Well, it's got to go, should go to him, I would think, to find out.
Follow up if you want me to follow up.
Follow up with Motorola to find out where the contract is.
That would be a good... Can you do that, please?
Yep,
That would
we'll
be
take care
great.
of that.
Thank you. So at this time, we refer it back. Do we vote on that then?
Refer back to administration.
Madam Chair, what I'm saying is that we do not have, the chief said that we have a contract, this is just an installment, we do not have a contract past February of 2019.
Councilman Abdullah?
So, Clerk, it was not the type that would continue on quarterly afterwards. You know how certain contracts will have, from January 1st, let's say 2018 to January 1st, 2019, and will continue on a month-to-month basis after that. Is it one of those types, or maybe in this case, quarterly basis?
No,
It had a date expiration certain as the way I read it.
So we actually have to have a contract, so this, we don't even refer this to administration, we need to have a contract.
Right.
Also,
So the chief has agreed to do it. Let's just stop at this point and just...
I'll contact Motorola, see where we're at. If there was something signed, I'll get it. I'll take care of it.
You can, Chief, if you'd like, you to stop by tomorrow, you could see what I have.
Okay, that'll work.
So, Mr. Clerk, we're going to vote on referring it back to administration for the
New contract.
Motorola end of the agreement.
somebody has to amend the motion.
Who's going to amend, who made the motion?
Ray?
I amend my motion to refer this back to administration to receive the contract from Motorola before anything else is done.
Second.
Supported by Councilman Bazey. Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next agenda on the item is Police Chief Voltatore, request for approval to purchase and pay ammunition.
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Move to concur with Police Chief Daniel Voltatore and approve the purchase and payment, and it is outlined here in 9D. The total is $8,837.64.
Support.
Is outlined.
Supported by Councilman Bazey. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, under reports from city officials, we have Tifa Administrator Roscoe, 2019-2020 Tifa proposed budget.
Council Chair.
Councilman Muscat?
I move council approve TIFA budget for the 2019-2020. The total budget is estimated at $2,225,000 as outlined in 9E.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Bazey. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, under new business, we have business license renewal for Leo's Coney Island, located at 26540 Ford Road.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Constant.
I move that we approve the business license renewal for Leo's Coney Island on Ford Road in Dearborn Heights as outlined in 13A.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Abdullah. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have adoption of the 2019-2020 corporate fund budget.
13C, please.
Council Chair.
Councilman Muscat.
I'm going to make a statement before a motion is made, but I was going through the adopted corporate fund budget. The numbers aren't corresponding with what we agreed to a week ago when we wanted to give a 3% salary raise to everyone. What's in this adopted budget, they're all wrong. So I don't know what to do about it, number one.
Well,
Okay.
we do have a timeline we have to approve this by. We can come back and we can readdress it and readjust it if you want. But we do have a timeline that, and it's a strict one.
Somebody wants to make a motion, I'm not going to.
And also, okay, so we're at 13B, right? Okay, we also need a breakdown of, so we increased the budget by $4 million. We need a breakdown as where the money's going.
Comptroller Vance? Do you have that information?
I'm looking, I don't remember that much.
Yeah. I just did last year's and this year. About $4 million difference.
Oh, are you talking about from year to year?
The revenue.
The revenues.
Yeah.
Well, the revenues went up, 2 million of it is the additional Act 345.
Okay, so that's what we need is where the Act 345, where's the money going in 345? There's like administration, we need a breakdown of that.
I explained that when I discussed the revenue at the first meeting. If you go, you see the revenue. If you go to the page.
Can you please step to the microphone, Comptroller Vance? The residents can't hear.
The amount to match the Act 345, the expenses would start on page 12. It would be 345 pension, 345 expense, 345 OPEB free fund. One second, there is.
Yeah.
Those would be the items that would add up to the millage rate on the other page.
So it's 101,200,722, that .000.
Yep.
But we need a breakdown of that as well.
The $4 million
Yeah, the 4 million
that's
figure
under
that we
one
have.
line.
Yeah. So if you take the 2 million of the the 345 OP from pre-fund. The 345 expense is $555,000. The 345 insurance is $242,492. The pension is $3,509,641. You add that all together, and it adds up to the $10 million on the front.
Okay, Councilwoman Hicks Clayton's got a Councilwoman Hicks Clayton?
Thank you, Madam Chair. My question is, and first I want to say that the last year or so, I've learned more about Act 345 by researching it, which I think is really important. Because what we need to understand, what I want the residents to understand, is you're taxed, we, the council body, approve that taxation. There is a separate board, the Act 345 board, that has oversight. And this is a public act that is for our police and fire pension system with a pension here, and their health care has to be in a 115 trust fund, which it has not been done to this date. And now you're having it in here, which is good. But here's my question. And Comptroller Vance, I sent you an email, and I appreciate your response, by the way. Thank you. That from my sources from the state would say, because of Public Act 202, you have to have your health care for general employee government over here, 115 trust fund here, and a second one over here for Act 345 or fire and police because it's restricted. So that the two can't commingle. And I think that's pretty much a general thing with restricted funds. And I know you weren't able to necessarily answer that for me, so I respect that, by the way. I don't know if it would be Treasurer Riley, because I know in the past I was always directed to the mayor, who's not here this evening. Can somebody answer that question for me on the two separate 115 trust? Okay. Treasurer, take away.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, basically, I've been working on that. We have a document that's a draft together that would end up separating them out to make sure that the funding would be handled separately with regard to the 345 and the other money. And I think that's been part of what's been envisioned all along with regard to this. So.
Okay, thank you.
But why hasn't that been done while we're in a
you
budget season?
recognized?
I'm sorry.
Councilman Muscat?
Council Chair.
That's right, though.
Councilman Muscat.
I apologize.
No problem.
We're in a budget season. This is, we've been talking about Act 345 for months and months, just like we've been talking about going to a 5-day work week. We've been talking about 5-day work week for at least 4 years that I know of. Here we are, the last week that we're going to do a budget, and nothing is separated in a restricted fund. It just amazes me that government is allowed to do this. What the hell? The taxpayers are paying for it anyway. Okay? I'm one of the taxpayers. This Act 345 went up $2 million in 1 year. It should have been in here already. It should have been here. No dilly-daddling about it. We did the same thing with PEG fees. Everything was never separated. Restricted funds. The state does the same thing with roads. Going to go 45 cents, but we're going to use 30 of it for someplace else. We, the citizens, allow it to happen. I, as a councilman, am not going to allow it to happen on this.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Councilwoman Hicks
I'm just going
Clayton?
to add to that because, again, you're right, months and months of research into this. When this all started and this council chamber was packed with retirees, and I will tell you, I will fight every day and have for you. In Lansing, in here, in the chambers, no one was taking away your health care, ever, ever. It was about doing it correctly. The correct way of doing this is it needed to be separated. It's a restricted fund. It cannot go in general government fund, which has been done for 14 years or more, is that. That is what it's been about the entire time. Nothing else you've been told. All right? I've stood with you in Lansing. You know this. So I agree with you, Councilman. We are now here, and I've had lots of things happen to me along the way, which I'm not going to share with you because I'm still here, and I'm going to keep fighting for you. But this should never happen.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, we are going to take a vote on the adoption of the 2019-2020 corporate fund budget.
Madam Chair.
We need to make a motion.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I move that we adopt the 2019-2020 corporate fund budget as presented and as outlined in 13B.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Abdullah. Any further discussion? Mr. Clerk?
I believe traditionally, Madam Chair, that we have done the motions one by one.
But don't we have to do the budget first, and then we do the mills the second?
This is doing the budget. When you do each of these collectively, that is doing the budget.
Madam Chair, that's what we've always done, yeah.
Council Chair, may I ask the
It has
clerk
been
a
round
question?
table. You're correct.
If I don't want to vote yes on the budget, I don't have to read any of that off, do I? Because that would be in support of it, correct?
Yeah.
That's correct.
It's never, I know it's never happened before, but I don't want to approve the budget. Not until everything is all the lines are crossed, the Ts are crossed, the Is are dotted, Act 345 is straight, because
Illegal.
once we approve this, it's set in stone.
Legal.
My understanding, unless the attorney wants to correct me, is, number one, the city council adopts general government fiscal 2010 surplus budget in the amount of $50,000. Councilman, if you vote no there, you're voting no against the budget.
All right, let's do it line by line, and you're going to have to vote no on everything if that's your choice.
I can,
Okay,
Madam Chair, I can make the first motion if you like.
go ahead.
I move that the City Council adopts the general government fiscal 2019-2020 surplus budget in the amount of $50,271,549 as outlined in 13B, number 1.
Okay. Do I have support?
Support.
Support by Councilman Abdullah. Is there any discussion on this?
Madam Chair?
Councilman Constant.
Yeah, I suggest, I know that we have a deadline. I do remember when I was council chair being very concerned that we get the budget adopted. So I suppose the issue is voting and having a budget in place versus not having a budget in place, and I understand everyone's concern. We need certain information, the breakdown 4-day versus 5-day work week, the Act 345 money, and what I would suggest is that we pass the budget and we get that information, or maybe even subject to, but the budget has to be enacted and passed.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Bazey.
I actually oppose that idea because what happened last year, we approved it and it took months, not even, we couldn't even come to a consensus with amending the budget, so.
Okay. Well, then let's just read off the different motions and take a vote. Okay, we have a motion. I need a second. Oh, second by Councilman Abdullah. Okay, on item 13B, number 1, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
No. The noes have it.
They need to know.
Let's take a poll. Councilman Muscat?
No.
Councilman Constant?
Yes.
Councilman Bazey?
No.
Malinowski, Maxwell, no. Councilman Abdullah?
Yes.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton?
No.
Motion fails.
But there's no sense in going through the rest of this, then?
So I guess,
Okay.
You could do the library budget.
Madam Chair.
Separate.
let's,
You're right.
okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I think we can vote.
Okay,
Ma-
well,
yeah,
the
Madam
next
Chair.
item is that the City Council adopts the Library Fund fiscal 2019-2020 surplus budget in the amount of $2,343,944.
So moved.
Council Chair, I make a motion that that be passed.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Constant, motion by Councilman Muscat. Okay, any further discussion?
It's on the top.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, number 3 in item 13B is that the tax levy for the 2019-2020 fiscal years be set at 8.2285 mils.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Constant.
I move that the tax levy for the 2019-2020 fiscal years be set at 8.2285 mils, as
Support.
outlined in 13B.
Support.
Support by Councilman Muscat. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
Councilman Bazey is opposed. Motion passes. Next item is number 4 for 13B, that 8.4375 mils be levied to finance the voter-approved Act 345 Fire and Police Pension Plan for fiscal year 2019-2020 in the amount of $10,452,291.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Constant.
I move that 8.4375 mils be levied to finance the voter-approved Act 345 Fire and Police Pension Plan for fiscal year 2019-2020 in the amount of $10,452,291 as outlined in 13B number 4.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Muscat. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Thank you. With this, and this is an approved levy, the mills there by the voters many, many years ago, but I still have concerns, and Corporate Attorney Miyake, I would like to set an appointment with you to present the 2 different ledgers on this account, because I did meet with others on this, that the ledgers don't match from the FOIA version to the version that I was issued by our comptroller, and I have several questions on that, and I would like to have your time by appointment, please, because I was directed back to you that I need to present this to you, because as our attorney for the city of Dearborn Heights, you obviously would be obligated to follow up on this, because the ledgers do not match.
Okay, well, are you able to meet with Councilwoman
I'll
Hicks?
do whatever you want me to.
Okay, great.
Okay.
And I approve it, so you can go ahead and do that. Okay, at this time, I need a support on this.
Madam Chair,
You already had a support.
Councilman
I supported
Muscat.
All right, we're getting too long here on these, because, all right, go ahead.
well, I mean, now we're told the ledger doesn't match, so based on that, I don't know if we're ready to vote on something like this, if that's the case.
Exactly.
Okay, well, yeah, we can vote. We can vote it down if that's what we choose to, if
Abstain.
we're not comfortable with passing it. That is an option, either yes or no. So are we ready to take a vote on this?
Madam Chair, I was going to abstain until this is cleared up. I'm really uncomfortable with it.
Well, you can't abstain, I'm sorry. You are present, according to charter, everybody has to vote.
But others have abstained in the past. Why is
That was an error.
Okay.
Okay, we are going to be voting on 13B, number 4.
No.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
Motion fails. Councilman Constant is the only yes on that. Next, number 5 under 13B, that the city council levy an additional 2.1601 mils on the taxable valuation for financing garbage and rubbish disposal for fiscal year 2019-2020.
Council Chair.
Councilman Muscat.
I move the city council levy an additional 2.1601 mils on the taxable valuation for financing garbage and rubbish disposal for fiscal year 2019-20.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Abdullah. Is there any discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next item on the agenda is number 6, under 13B, that the city council levy an additional 1.9360 mils on the taxable valuation of public safety as approved by the voters of the city of Dearborn Heights for the fiscal year 2019-2020.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Constant.
I move that the city council levy an additional 1.9360 mils on the taxable valuation of public safety as approved by the voters of the city of Dearborn Heights for fiscal year 2019-2020.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Muscat. Is there any discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next item is number 7 under 13B. That's the millage approved for solid waste disposal by the electorate in May 2000 be levied at .9680 mils.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdullah.
I move that the millage approved for solid waste disposal by the electorate in May 2000 be levied at .9680 mils.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Constant. Is there any discussion?
Council Chair.
Councilman Muscat.
What's the difference between 7 and 5? I mean, solid waste is what?
One's public.
One is
oh,
garbage, one is waste.
Okay.
There's two millages for the solid waste. One of them is a state act, which is the item that you see under number 5 of 2.1601. And then the other millage that is under 7 is approved by the voters for the Central Wayne County Sanitation Authority.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so then there's the two separate millages.
Thank you very much for that clarification. Any further discussion on number 7? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Item number 8, that the City Council approve the 2019-2020 lump sum budget for the 20th District Court in the amount of $2,068,489.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Constant.
I move that the City Council approve the 2019-2020 lump sum budget for the 20th District Court in the amount of $2,068,489 as outlined in 13B, number 8.
Support.
Support by Councilman Muscat. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, item number 9, under 13B, we have that the City Council levy an additional .8893 mil to fund the City Department for libraries, including new improvement of library buildings as approved by the voters of the City of Dearborn Heights.
Council Chair.
Councilman Muscat.
I move City Council approve the levy of the additional .8893 mils to fund the City Department of Libraries as outlined in 9 of 13B.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Abdullah. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion passes also. Item 13B, number 10, that the City Council levy an additional .9195 mil to fund the city libraries as approved by the voters of the City of Dearborn Heights.
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Move that City Council levy the additional .9195 mil to fund the city libraries as approved by the voters of Dearborn Heights.
Support.
Support by Councilman Constant. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. So I'm going to go back and read off what I have on each one of these, Mr. Clerk, and I want to make sure we all are on the same page. This is item 13B. Number 1, that motion failed. Number 2, that motion passed. Number 3, that motion passed. Number 4, that motion failed. Number 5, that motion passed. Number 6, that motion passed. Number 7, that also passed. Number 8, that motion passed. Number 9, that motion passed. And number 10, that motion passed. Are we in agreement?
We are in agreement, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Let's move forward. Next item on the agenda is adoption of administration fee.
Council Chair.
Councilman Muscat.
I move City Council approve the 1% rate fee as outlined in 13C.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Constant. Is there any discussion?
Well, Madam Chair,
Councilman Constant?
just to let the persons here in the public know, this is a fee that the city charges for helping collect the county and state taxes, the administrative fee. In fact, our Treasurer, John Riley, may want to explain further the importance of the apparently not.
Treasurer, no? You have no comment? Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
Councilman Bazey is opposed. Next, we are going to open it up to comments from council members at the table only.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Bazey?
at the last meeting, the mayor and I think ordinance department, they brought up an issue with Canfield. It was, since I saw Mr. Mackey here, we'd like to get a clarification. We were told that you guys are not paying rent.
Okay,
So
that's going to be, they're
no.
going to come up later.
No, are they? Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was
Yeah.
kind of, okay, I saw them here.
Let's-
So.
No, we'll let you speak at the public comment. That's where you're slotted, because I did give you extra, I gave him permission for extra time, so let's let him stay there.
Yeah, I was just curious because I saw him here and I
Yeah.
wanted to get a clarification.
We want them to present the
Madam Chair,
plan.
I'm sorry. Are you finished?
Councilwoman Hicks Creighton?
Yes. My question is more, I guess, a comment for our police chief. I've had several conversations with residents who have ongoing concerns about safety in their neighborhoods and along business corridors because of the excessive speeding, as well as some of what my generation would call muscle cars, drag racing and such. Now, I know police can't be everywhere at all times, and I was speaking with somebody from City of Dearborn Police Department with an outreach program that they do, an educational outreach and awareness, which they partner with AAA of Michigan, and it has significantly made a difference, of course, with their patrols out and what they're doing, but that education piece, and wanted to see what your thoughts were on that, and if that would help our community moving forward for our residents' safety and concerns.
Education is awfully important, especially in driver safety. I'm unaware of the program you're talking about. You give me the information, I'll look into it.
All right, I will. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Constant?
If Councilwoman Hicks Clayton is talking about the traffic school and so forth, that's...
No, it's something else. It's an outreach program. That's not it. It was well advertised, like on Channel 7 and different news outlets, because they did a really good job with it, I think. Because I agree. I mean, education is really important, and just the awareness and the presence of your patrols. And we know, we can't be everywhere. You can't be everywhere. But just because they had said that they had significant improvements, and it's an annual program that they do. So I will send you those resources that was shared with me.
Sure. The only information I was aware of is they increase patrols in the drag racing areas and did enforcement with that. That's normally what we do, so I'm not sure what the program was you were talking about.
All right, thanks.
I'll send it to you.
You know the name of the program?
You need to communicate that.
I don't. It's just a partnership with AAA of Michigan.
Oh, okay.
But I will send it to you. I'll send you all the links and everything tomorrow.
Do you have a contact other than links, or is it just?
You share that with me?
I will. Yeah, I'll share it with you.
All right.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Council Chair?
Councilman Muscat?
Just a note, a reminder for all of our neighbors. As we travel the city, we're seeing more and more tall grass, weeds everywhere. Now, I understand some people just don't want to put weed killer on their lawn. That's fine and dandy. That's your prerogative. But at least keep them cut. You see these dandelions, and they're 10, 12, 13 inches high. Contractors are blowing grass in the street. By the time ordinance can get out there, that's the rain's washed it away or blown away or whatnot, and it makes it hazardous. Just today we were coming down Lafayette, and somebody just cut their grass, and the mess in the street and the sidewalk was just unbelievable. And I just want everybody to take a little pride in where they live. I'm not asking you to do something I wouldn't do, so just have a little pride where you live and cut your lawn and be that way. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Abdullah?
Just want to commend Hassan Chami for the Sahur Festival that he's doing at the Hype Center. It's been very, very well organized. I'd also like to commend the Dearborn Heights Police Department for doing a great job there. It's very safe. I went there a couple different times. Great food, big crowds. I think like 5, 8, 10,000 people a night, it seemed, from what they quoted at least. But great job, with the police department. I think it's been a great thing for our city as far as the number of people that have come in from other cities to visit our cities and see the great food and great diversity that we have. So good job to all, and good job to the police department.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank Officer Thompson here. He's been out there on the weekends, so he's doing a great job out there.
Good job.
Good job.
One more quick item, if you don't mind.
Councilman Muscat?
Vince, I didn't forget about the Warren Valley thing. It's on my list here, and we'll discuss that.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, now I'll open up to public comment from a public official.
I know that you guys did not pass an Act 345 millage, which is your prerogative, but would you like us to go forward and issue tax bills without that millage on there, or are you going to readdress this at the next meeting or some special meeting, or
We're going to figure that out after we get out of here today.
Okay, because I think it's, I mean, that we're on a, kind of a timeline.
We
and
have a
so I just
timeline, and I understand that.
Yeah, so I just, I wasn't getting any gauge of what I should be doing or what we, people should be doing.
Would a study session be in order, maybe?
I
So,
was going to say study session and a special meeting, because it is important to get it done.
well, yeah, that's what I mean. We have to get it
I
done.
will
We
figure
have
that out
to.
after
The
tonight, what we're
service
going to
and
do,
what we're
and do
doing.
it in a timely manner.
Yeah, we appreciate that. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, we're at public announcements.
Well, I was going to make an announcement regarding some work done by Barb Gorka, but I can do it at the next meeting.
Okay. Is it a time-sensitive one?
No.
Okay. All right. Any other public announcements for the city?
Mr. Clerk.
Hello, council and Chair and Mayor. Just want to talk about a quick item at the library. Tuesday, June 11th at 7 p.m. at Carolyn County Library, we will be discussing healthy eating. Join Robert Bakley, MD, as he discusses straightforward lifestyle and diet changes that will help enhance health and vitality well into our elder years. That's all for now. Thanks for your time, and
What's the date on that?
Tuesday, June 11th, 7 p.m.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Clerk.
It's Tuesday.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We know that the absentee ballot applications got out because you've returned them in hundreds so far already. 3 things to remember, folks, please. You must check both elections. If you just want general or the primary, or if you want them both, please check that. We've already noticed they are coming in without that being checked. Secondly, there's a misunderstanding about what being on a permanent absentee list actually means. It means that you will get an application for each and every upcoming election. It does not mean you are going to automatically get a ballot. People were at the window today saying, why are you keep sending me this? I've been on the list and I've been doing this. We have to know you're still a resident. We have to know you're still alive. We have to check those signatures to make sure that we're sending those ballots to the actual voters. So that's why you're getting those applications. Thirdly, there's a new box which says I would like to be a permanent absentee voter. If you have gotten those in the mail, you already are. So know that this is not a new list. It's just the new law allows anybody to vote no reason absentee, but we've always had our permanent absentee lists. So if you've gotten that, those are the only ones that went out so far, are the people who are on the permanent list. So if you received that, there's no need to check that box. You could check it again if you want, but believe me, you're on the permanent absentee list. Finally, unfortunately, we're having trouble with our emails in the city, and I just want to let people know that if you are contacting the clerk's office, I read my emails several times a day. If you are expecting an answer from me and you do not get one, please call me. Okay, I sent out numerous emails today that never got through. I have a candidate that was expecting an answer and called and didn't get their answer. The email was sent out. I sent out mass emails to other clerks regarding the election. Those didn't go out. There's a problem, folks. I don't know when it's going to be resolved, but all I want you to know that if you contact the clerk's office, the clerk reads the emails several times a day. Normally, I respond immediately unless it is something that I have to look up. I'd like to respond immediately and get that so I don't forget. So if you are expecting an answer and you do not get it, you are expecting an email and you do not get it, please call 791-3432. Once again, that's 313-791-3432. Thank you very much.
Sir, may I ask you a question about the absentee list?
I'll talk to you right after the meeting, okay?
Thank you.
Lee Gavin, Emergency Management Coordinator. Just to update the council and our citizens real quick. Today, Tuesday the 28th, we were out in the field with Michigan State Police Emergency Management and FEMA. So the way they explained it to me doesn't mean FEMA's in town. FEMA is just following up on Michigan State's Emergency Management's initial assessments. So they're going to take all this and they're kind of double checking what the state police did, and they'll pass it on to the governor. So we're down. We'll be out
tomorrow, Wednesday, and then Thursday, so 28th and 29th, going to these homes. There's a crew of probably 10 of us from state, local, and federal. So if you see them, if you see the people out there, that's what we're doing. But I want to reassure the citizens again, doesn't mean it's gone to the FEMA level yet. FEMA is just double checking the state police work. That's
Thank
where
you.
we are.
Any other public announcements? Please step up to the microphone.
Mike Blackburn, DPW Superintendent. This is a public service announcement for the residents. There are a lot of people that when there is a fallen branch or a water main break, they put on social media. The DPW cannot handle these emergencies if we are not called upon. After normal business hours, you must call the police 911 number. During normal business hours, you can call the DPW. That way we can get out there faster. There was one this past Saturday. If it wasn't for Director McIntyre screenshotting it and sending it to me, we had it taken within an hour as soon as I was aware of the situation. After you notify the proper people, if you want to put it on social media, that's fine, but at least contact us first.
Thank you. Any further public announcements at this time?
A little slow. Good evening, I'm Gina Wilson-Stewart, and I'm the president of the Western Wayne County NAACP. And I just wanted to reintroduce myself to the community and let you guys know that we're here. We're a county branch, and we cover 24 cities, and Dearborn Heights is one of the cities that we represent. And we actually, our next meeting is June 10th at 27500 Marquette in Garden City. And you guys are more than welcome to come and meet with us. Our meetings start at 7 o'clock and they end at 8:30. So if anybody who's running for election just want to come and introduce themselves to us and our members, by all means, I'm inviting you guys out to come. We also do things in the community. We just had an expungement fair to help people who have a felony on their record to get it off. So that's one of the things we did. Tomorrow we're giving out 3 scholarships. One student at River Rouge, one student at Cass Tech, and one student at, I can't say, but it's in the Wayne Westland School District. Tomorrow night we'll be giving out those scholarships. So those are some of the things that we're doing. And we also partner with the police departments in some of the cities, and we're working with the youth to tell them what to do when they get stopped by the police. Education is very important, and so that's one of the things that we're working on. So I would like to speak with the chief after the meeting so we can work on with the students in Dearborn Heights area. I know we work with Robichaud High School a lot. That's one of our schools that we adopted. And lastly, I just want to let you guys know that our national convention for the NAACP will be at Coble Hall. It's at the end of July 20th through the 24th, so we will have people from all over the country here in our area. Last year was in San Antonio, Texas. It was great, just a little bit hot, but I don't know what the weather's going to be here, but we are inviting you guys out to come and just see what's going on. And, you know, when we all work together for our issues, everybody wins, right? So our Facebook page is Western Wayne County Branch NAACP, or you can always just call me like everybody does, 313-949-3133. And again, I'm Gina Wilson-Stewart. I'm the president of the branch, and I'm here with one of our members from Dearborn Heights, Ms. Donna Miller. What we do is we encourage our members to go to the city council and the school board meetings. We was just at Southgate this afternoon at 7, and then we rushed over here, and so we get around.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay, any other public announcements? At this time, I'm going to open it up to public comment. State your name, address, and 3 minutes, please.
Before I start, I apologize because I'm extremely tired due to the events that happened on Dock, Stater, Cecile, and Kenlock this weekend. I got absolutely no sleep, neither did my kids. Freda Berry, 26354 Dockstader. What happened this weekend was completely unacceptable. The police chief knows what happened this weekend because the Dearborn Heights Police were called to Dockstader, Kenlock, and Cecile multiple times. We lost our fundamental rights to the quiet and peaceful enjoyment of our homes. We had 5,000 people in our streets going to the mosque. We had people lined up on our streets. We couldn't get home. There were people outside of our homes, and the police chief knows, fighting at 2 o'clock in the morning. 2 o'clock in the morning, they were fighting outside of our homes on Dockstader. We had people telling us to F off. We had people telling us to go F ourselves. We had people parked on our lawns. The Dearborn Heights Police were called multiple times. Instead of giving tickets, they went to the mosque and gave them an hour on both Saturday and on Monday to remove their cars. I am sorry, police chief, but if I am illegally parked, I get a ticket. I am not given an hour to rectify and remedy. We had people screaming on our front lawn, screaming at 2 o'clock in the morning. Where are our fundamental rights as homeowners? We pay taxes, we live there. If we call the Dearborn Heights Police to come out and help us, we expect them to do what we brought them over to do. They are supposed to be helping us. We no longer are safe in our homes. We no longer are able to enjoy a peaceful evening in our homes. The mosque, I am Muslim, but I am sorry, I do not want the sermon going over the loudspeaker at 2 o'clock in the morning. There are decimals. They have to abide by those decimals. They cannot have the sound go over certain decimals, and they did. And instead of helping us, what does the police officers come and say? Well, we were told not to ticket. Well, we were told by the mayor, who's not here conveniently, that we should not be ticketing, that it's a mosque, we have to give them leeway. Well, we were told, each and every time we ask, they were told, and it was different things that come from the mayor. The reason why the mayor's not here today is because he is avoiding the residents, because he knows exactly what happened this weekend on Dockstader, on Kenlock, and on Cecile. All of our rights have been violated. And here you guys are going to allow them? 5,000 people on Saturday. There weren't as many people yesterday, but there were still thousands yesterday. He is going to allow them to add an additional 5,000 square feet without any additional parking? Unacceptable. You guys need to address it now before it gets worse. If anything happens to my kids, I had to go save my daughter the other day too. I had to go walk over, get her car, and bring her in because she couldn't get home. Anything happens to my kids, I am holding the city of Dearborn Heights and the mayor personally responsible. Anything happens to my house, he is responsible for anything that happens. We are so fed up as a community. We are done. From John Daly to Kinlock, Cecile, Dockstader. We are done with all of the nuisance that is happening each and every day. There is garbage thrown on our grasses. There are garbage thrown on the parking lot at the mosque, filled with garbage. Where does that garbage go when the wind blows? It comes over to our homes. If you guys want to come and see during the Eid. You know what day the Eid is? The holiday. Come and see how our streets are. Come and see how these people behave and how they act. What happened to respect? Our residents were threatened yesterday, threatened. I watched it. I watched 5 different residents being told to F off, to move their effing cars, to get the F away. The F-bomb was dropped, literally, like over and over again, by people walking down our streets and going to the mosque or trying to park and block us in. My daughter had her friends over yesterday. I had my car parked. I had my daughter's friend's car parked. A car tried to come and park in front of my daughter's friend's car and block her in. She would have been blocked in. I told the guy to move, and he was also blocking my driveway. I asked him to move. He told me to get the F out of here, shut my mouth, and go in my house, because that's where I belong. No, I deserve to enjoy my home. I'm not enjoying it anymore. I do not enjoy living on Dockstader anymore. You guys need to open your eyes and see what's happening. We are homeowners. We have fundamental rights as homeowners. He is hiding from us. He is not here because he is afraid, because he knows. He has heard all of the complaints that you have gotten this past weekend. You have heard about them. You know what we dealt with. We're afraid to be in our own homes now. We should not be afraid. My daughter did not go to school on Thursday. Was another night. I didn't go to work on Friday. My daughter didn't go to school on Friday. Why? Because we were up all night Thursday because of all of the nuisance coming from the mosque. We're done. Please, you guys, do something about it. Do not allow that 5,000 square foot addition to be built until they can address the parking situation. This was a variance given by that board and that planning commission, and it was a variance that never should have been done. They said it can handle the mosque, the people that are there now. I called the fire department because there were 5,000 people in there. That place cannot hold 5,000 people. I was told that the police department has to go out there and address it, that the fire marshal doesn't. You guys need to, right? They need to go ahead and they need to make sure that you guys have adequate parking and adequate space for the people that are there. Do not build that addition until it's done. And next week, when there's all those people, make sure that you have proper and adequate police officers there to control that traffic. We should not be put through that anymore. Yeah, Ford Road was another one. People are somebody is gonna get killed. Somebody is gonna get killed because all of that's happening right now. You know how many of us called the Michigan State Police because the Dearborn Heights Police did nothing? The Michigan State Police told me when I called that they had an abundance of calls because the Dearborn Heights Police, and they kept saying, we have to go to the city of Dearborn Heights. Oh, and by the way, about parking on our lawns, do you know what the Dearborn Heights Police said? We have to call a private towing company and have the vehicles towed off our lawns and pay for it ourselves. That they cannot pay for it. It has to be us that pays for it. And by the way, people from the mosque came and saw that it was happening. They made an announcement over the loudspeaker to tell them that they needed to move their cars. One person moved their cars, the other cars weren't. And still, the police officer sat at that corner and was not issuing tickets until we yelled at him to issue the ticket. There were cars parked at the stop signs, there were cars parked on the lawns. Dearborn Heights Police did not issue one ticket until they came out the third time saying that their lieutenant had to approve it before they can issue it. And they went in the mosque and told them they gave them an hour to move it. I'm sorry, but the next time I get a ticket, you better come find me and tell me I have an hour to move my car before you ticket me. Otherwise, don't bother giving me a ticket.
Thank you. And by the way, I didn't realize who she was. She did ask for special permission to go over.
Hi, my name is Ilham Mackey, and I live on Cecile and Ford Road and Kenlock. We need a no parking, as you did the no parking signs from Ford Road to Docks Tater. This is a second request. Please do it from Docks Tater to Cecile. The reason being, I got caught in that mess Friday night. It took me 20 minutes from Ford Road and Kenlock to Kenlock and Cecile to make a right-hand turn because I was blocked both ways. The left side had cars, the right side had cars, plus there was a semi, a 45-foot semi. I went to that police officer. I got scared. I says, it's narrow. If I go this way, I'm going to hit a car. If I go this way, I'm going to hit the semi. Then I'm going to have to pay for it because you can't put it on your insurance because it's my fault. What are you going? You have to do something. Friday night, one of the neighbors on Cecile, her son's truck got hit. From the people parking from the mosque, they backed up, hit his truck, and left. Yesterday, we were one of the ones that says, you know what, these are for our children to park in front of our homes. Police officer came and told us that's illegal to do because it's a public. Well, we pay taxpayer dollars just like everyone else here. So you're talking about the millage, you're talking about what you're going to pay. What about the taxpayer dollars that you're paying overtime for police officers? What about the taxpayers' dollars that we can't move? What are you going to do next week when there's the Freedom Festival and you have the ad on the same day? Where are they going to park these semis? Does anyone thought of that? If we can't make a turn into our street, what are we supposed to do? You have an elderly lady, 85 years old, with a bad heart condition. You have people that have owned their homes, are ready to move because there's nowhere to park for their children and grandchildren. It was so bad that F-150 truck, we tried to get the license plates, speeding down Cecile. Nothing done. We told the police officers, look at them at the stop sign. The cars are parked at the stop sign. Left and right side, and you know what he said? There's nothing we could do about it. They could park where they want. Come on, help us put a no parking signs like you did for Docks Tater. Do it for the residents on Cecile. If you're coming this way, I can move to the right. You can have a two-way traffic. And if you don't, and if there's an emergency, what are you going to do yet? You failed the citizens. You failed the taxpayers. And if I get hurt and my son can't get through or the ambulance, then I'm coming to the city of Dearborn Heights because you're not doing your job to help us.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Next, state your name, address, and you have 3 minutes.
My name is Ed Rawl, and I live at 5753 Fenton Street. And what I want to talk about is already been brought up, I guess, but anyways, I live right by the stop sign there. And these cars make me so nervous because all of them make so much noise. The Challengers, Chargers, Dodge trucks, you name it. They all make so much noise that, yeah, I can't hardly stand it. So I met with the chief and Mayor Palatko over to McDonald's after they redid it, they were over there. And they told me that they were going to try to do something about it, but I haven't really seen anything done about it. They just run wild out there, run 60, 70 miles an hour down the street. That's common. They would come out there one evening, 4:30, 5 o'clock or something like that. They could write plenty of tickets, but they don't want to write tickets, I don't guess. So, when I moved in there, where I'm at now, back in 1999, that was a nice, peaceful place to live. Quiet, had some old people, a few hillbillies like myself. Saturday and Sunday, it's free for all. Telegraph, Ford Road. You can hear them running up and wide open up and down the street. I guess there's nobody working now. I don't know, but there's kids out there where I live, right across from me, young kids, and I've seen them break away from their mother before. And there's kids live next door to me, and I don't know why we can't get something done about these people that don't obey our laws. And
thank you. Thank you.
That's about all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Chief, would you like to address either one of these last two and the concerns?
Well, the concerns are what they believe they are. I can't argue with any of the concerns. As far as the speeds, I could sit here and try to argue all day that there's nobody doing 60 or 70 miles an hour down the side street. But I'm not going to do that. If the community doesn't want to work with or partner with the religious group in the neighborhood, then we look like the bad guys when we go out there and tow them. We try to give them an opportunity to move their cars. They do, they don't, then we decide to take some action. I heard that they're peaceful people and everybody should be going through the neighborhood. It's hard to believe that it's as bad as it was stated, but there were officers out that said there were a lot of people out there. So, we try to work with them when we can. If you want us to move in the direction of more enforcement, show of hands. Council members, everybody, you want enforcement, raise your hand.
You break light, yeah.
Stand behind it. And when the complaints come in that the police are towing everybody's car, we're infringing on religious freedoms, and as far as the parking issues, we did a traffic study. Emergency vehicles can get down the street if there's cars parked on both sides of the street.
Okay.
So that was done, so there is no issue there.
Okay, thank you.
Well, so can I get a call on who voted for more enforcement in this area? Ms. Hicks-Clayton, Mr. All right, thank you.
Councilman Abdullah.
Say my name.
Council Chair.
Councilman Muscat.
Council Chair.
We can't be, like we said, we can't be everywhere every time. we're going to do our best at increasing enforcement in the area, and we'll go from there. But we try to work with them, and this is what we get. We don't work with people, we get the other.
Councilwoman Hicks.
I never see a police car in my area anymore. If I do see one, I say, oh, what is that?
Well, I very seldom see a car speeding through George Street or Midway. And
Okay, Councilwoman Hicks Clayton?
Okay, this is what I want to say about this. What I'm hearing, I have no reason to doubt, because I don't know why anybody would want to come here and share this and be under attack saying that didn't happen. So I take it somewhere here as the truth. But when you have people you have multiple people who have concerns. I've had, and I can go on Facebook and show you over 30 posts alone between today and yesterday about speeding and the noise and the vehicles, and you named the vehicles, by the way, thank you, the Dodge Chargers and all that. Here's the problem, in my opinion. You're getting these complaints. They are our constituents, our taxpayers, we work for you. Okay, their tax dollars support the we provide, just like an ordinance. You go out and you handle what you're handling. You've got all these people complaining and upset, and you heard a woman talk about not feeling safe in her home. If she's not by herself. So if that's the case, enforcement, yes, because somebody's breaking the law, and now it's inconveniencing innocent people who are trying to live peacefully in their home. And I'm going to tell you right now, yes, even on our street, Little Road, I'll tell you, you know where I live anyway, Rouge River, yes, they speed. Yes, they're going excessive, and that's in the neighborhoods, and our families should feel safe in their neighborhoods. Our neighborhoods need to be safe haven.
Thank you. Thank you. Councilman Muscat, let's kind of streamline this here, because we're getting kind of late.
I know, but the thing is we have to show hands that we want enforcement. But when someone parks their car on someone's lawn or blocks that driveway, that's illegal anyway.
That is.
You shouldn't have to have a show of hands to give a ticket or tow a vehicle away. If somebody was parked on my front lawn, okay, I'd want the police to tow it away immediately.
Councilman, we were working with the mosque trying to get people to move their cars. And then that's the issue. And people want the car towed immediately. And we said, if you want it towed immediately, you can tow it off your property.
Front lawn.
I'm telling you, we're trying to work with people. Then yell at me when I don't work with people. Then I don't work with people, I'm the bad guy. I'm just saying.
But I'm not doing that. But what I'm saying, when somebody parks their car on your front lawn, what are you to do?
I actually, myself, at my house, I had...
I understand everybody, so I'm just going to say this. We'll do strict enforcement and tow cars, and I'll give them your number.
You know, I go outside in front of my house.
That's your responsibility, but you give them my number.
I have a fire hydrant, and people park in front, blocking the fire hydrant. I go out there and say, hey, man, pull up in my driveway. I'm not going anywhere.
We're trying to work with people. Madam Chair. You don't want me to work with people, I got no problem.
I want you to work with people.
Okay, Councilman, no, I'm going to say from personal experience, I have come home and found a vehicle parked in my driveway that didn't belong there, and it wasn't recently, it wasn't during all this stuff. And I did call Dearborn Heights Police, and they had it immediately towed out of my driveway because it did not belong to me.
Probably because they didn't know where this person was. These people that are parking.
It wasn't my vehicle, and it wasn't my driveway. It was
we were
trespassing
trying
on
to
my
work
property.
with people. If somebody pulls in your driveway and they park their car and they take off and they abandon the car in the driveway and they're not going to the church or there's not a
it was
event
nothing like
going
that.
on,
It was
right.
just somebody just parked it there.
But that's what's going on here.
And I understand.
We're trying to work with people to get them. We're trying to bond the mosque and the people in the neighborhood. Apparently, we're not the glue that's going to bond it.
Well, it's education then, I guess.
Education has nothing to do with it.
I'll call them, talk to them.
Okay,
All right, at this point, Councilman O'Della?
I just want to point out something, and I do get concerned about the residents' concerns, no doubt about it, but I can tell you this, this is not something that happens every single day, whether it's at that particular mosque or a church or a synagogue or anything else like that. I do know as a practicing Muslim that there were special days in the last few days because of Ramadan where they have what they call Nights of Power, which is a night full of prayer. I'd like to hope and pray that everybody in that congregation, or any congregation for that matter, is not like that, because that would not be acceptable to me. I do go to that particular mosque myself, and I do know that 99.9% of people are not like that. Now, if there's an idiot out there, for the young lady that spoke earlier, if there's an idiot out there, and I'll call it out, idiot, yeah, absolutely, arrest them, tow their cars away, and do whatever you need to do. But I can tell you, this is not a common occurrence, and the special nights at any mosque or church for that matter, where you'd have a large congregation, in this particular case, you probably have 5, 10, maybe 15 nights pushing it per year where there's this type of situation. Now, the best thing for the residents to do, what I would personally recommend, bring people in. The mosque is more than willing to sit down and talk to the residents, try to figure out a solution. One of the solutions I came up with at one point was maybe permitted parking on Dockstader, Cecile, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe that's a solution. I don't know all the solutions, but what I will say is this. The residents should work with these places. I mean, this is the house of God. This is not some crazy club. This is the house of God. So if somebody's doing something wrong, absolutely, I would say do what needs to be done to get them to stop. But at the same time, the residents, the police, and the community, and the administration should all work together to find a resolution. That's all I'm saying. This is a new mosque that moved in here. Maybe there's a little bit more demand than maybe what was in the past. We just got to try to work together, try to find a resolution. That's all I'm saying. I'm not condoning this.
Okay.
Anybody that's being disrespectful to any resident is not acceptable. As a matter of fact, I do know from one of the board members that called the police and said, go ahead and arrest them. If anybody's doing something wrong, arrest them. Absolutely. Thank you.
He's having trouble hearing, I think.
Okay.
Okay, let's we've got someone up at the podium, and this is public comment, and you have asked for extra, so I will allow that.
Thank you. Good evening. If I can change the subject. Robert Curry, appearing as corporate counsel for Elite Sports. Purpose in being here tonight, taking me away from my family, is because of two matters apparently the mayor placed on the record. Last week, the mayor indicated that Elite Sports is not paying the rent, and also alluded to the fact that we are delaying in our...
Wait a minute. Okay, point of order, sir.
Take him outside.
Can you go in the hallway and talk?
He's confused, but he's confused. He shouldn't have.
I know, Chief, can you I think
do I need to be in for this part, or?
No, you're fine.
Sure? All right, let's go outside.
Yeah, I think he needs...
I do the deputy chief here.
Okay,
That's quite all right.
I just didn't want the side, I wanted you to be
Hope this
the
gets
main-
under control.
Thank you.
No problem. So if I could recap, the first thing the mayor indicated last week was that Elite Sports is not paying their rent. And the second matter that the mayor alluded to is that we are delaying in our construction work. To be honest with you, both statements couldn't be further from the truth. I find what the mayor said to be reckless, offensive, and quite candidly rises to the level of slander. If I could approach Chairman Maxwell, I have documentation I'd like her to read.
Okay.
Ms. Maxwell, what I gave you is a copy of the pertinent portion of the lease that we entered into with the City of Dearborn. And if I could direct you to paragraph 8.5, section 1, in the middle of all of that, I highlighted a portion that says lessee, which is my client, will pay lesser monthly rent for $5,803 for months January 19th, February, March, and it says a number of months. By my count, that's 5 months. You will see attached to that document, you'll see 5 checks that were given to the city and cashed by the city. So the first thing I would ask you to do is please acknowledge that each one of those checks were received and cashed by the city, because that would verify that we did in fact make our rent payments on time, and we were timely. We were never not paying our rent.
Okay, actually, you paid twice in January.
No, that was just a typo, but if you do the math,
Then
those are 5 checks.
February. Okay. April,
Well, I mean,
May.
Council
Okay,
Chair.
yes, I do
So
have.
I find it intriguing. I understand that also Director McIntyre alluded to the fact that we didn't have to pay rent until after we got our certificate of occupancy. Well, clearly the lease says otherwise, but honestly, we should take issue with this, and I'll tell you why. Because the second balance of our discussions with the mayor, based on what the mayor had said before this panel, was the fact that we are delaying in our construction. Again, it couldn't be further from the truth. I have our builder here, will verify that we received, that we timely submitted our application, that we submitted emails to the water department to talk about problems underground, that we have received nothing but delays. We've also found out that the foundation work that we've done, when we perked the soil, we found out there are soil problems. We also found out that the footings in the foundation beneath the Elite Sports facility where we are building out has to be dug out and rebuilt, as I understand. All of these things I will allow our builder to speak to. Well, these were unforeseen circumstances that none of us even knew that were in the ground, that we are now finding out that we are taking the extra measure for. But more offensively, our builder will confirm that over a month and a half ago, this city received our paperwork for the revised permits, and it's been sitting, and we finally received our permits recently. We're not the delay. The delay is on your end. And to be honest with you, it's frustrating because we write you a check for a building we cannot finish up because we're waiting for the city to tell us, okay, we give you the green light to do it. We give you our rent. The mayor says we don't pay on time. The mayor says we default on our obligations. The mayor says we are the cause of all of these problems, and he had a talk with my client. No, he didn't have a talk with my client. And again, it is convenient that our mayor isn't here, and I will allow our builder to give more detail as to the construction. But while we're here, we should reconsider the suspension of the rent because of not delays by us, but delays on the other end. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry you had to go through that.
That's all right. Thank you.
All right. Please step up to the microphone. State your name.
Wissam Beydoun of WB Development. What I'd like to go over is some timelines of when this project was supposedly going to, actually the contract was supposed to be signed, we were supposed to start, and even to that fact, we did proceed in continuing as much work as possible with the conditions that we were exposed to. So I'll begin by stating that the contract should have been signed back in August of 2018. At that time, we applied for a demo permit on August 2 of 2018. However, the contract was delayed by your council and by the mayor and was not signed until September 4 of 2018. But in the meantime, a demo permit is only allowed to stay on record, or it will expire 30 days after August 2nd. So we had to reapply for a second demo permit and apply for the DTE disconnect and the water disconnect, by the way, which we couldn't receive because the water department, which is Dearborn Heights Water Department, kept delaying us, and quite frankly, the right hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing over at the water department. And we have records stating how many times we've made actual calls, emails, and were promised certain dates of disconnect, and they weren't obtained. So that moves us up to on 9/11/18, we were finally given a demo permit. So before any demo happens, we have to do an asbestos test. You can't just demo a building. That's a state and actually it's federal codes that we need to do this. So the asbestos test was almost a week after that, which we were clear on 9/17/18 to go ahead and demo because they found there wasn't adequate asbestos there. There was minor, and we do have reports on record of what the minor was, and it was removed adequately. So the actual demo started on 9/24 of 18, and with weather and the time it takes to demo a building of that size, that demo wasn't completed until 10/26 of 18. So right after that, we went ahead and applied for initial foundation permit, and what I mean by initial is you can only obtain a permit for what you can see on the surface. We do our calculations as far as how big the building is, how much foundation will carry that building, and to kind of let you know, we had no blocks that were going to be supported by the foundation, just the steel beams and the clear span. So being that the foundation plan was not really of any kind of I guess the best word, like, it wasn't anything significant. It was a regular foundation permit, foundation plan that would carry 100,000 pounds of clear span, which modifies to about 50,000 per foundation and pillar. Well, when we opened up the ground, which we did back in November of 2018, we found that the soil was very, once we disturbed the soil, it was very tender or weak. So we had to bring our team of engineers back in there. They had to analyze what was going on. And they said the only way we can really do anything about this is we need to go ahead and get a soil test. So a soil test was ordered, and if anybody knows anything about when you're dealing with people of these, like whether it's engineering or people that do testing, it's not the next day. So the order was on 11/15 of 2018, and we got the soil test back in December 11 of 2018. So almost a month to the fact that when we ordered the testing is when we got the results. So after we did get the results back, we started getting products on the site. When I say products, which was the material, which was the steel. The steel will start arriving in late December. However, after we got the results of the soil testing, we had to bring back the team of engineers and say, okay, this is our results, what do we do? Well, it turns out we had to put bigger footings. The foundation had to be massive. We're talking, and if anybody knows anything about foundation, usually foundation is about 4 feet underground. We're doing almost 7 feet underground with 9 by 9 foot footings, 9 feet by 9 feet footings, almost 7 feet underground. We're talking about, we're holding up a building that's 1,100 tons. So we're talking about over 2.2 million tons of steel of weight. We got to hold that building, and a building of that size with it being a clear span, it will act like a kite, and basically it wants to, with the amount of air in it, it wants to just lift, and that's why we have to hold this building down. And again, with these timelines, it's not like we're not doing anything. We're actually progressing each and every day with the weather conditions. Even the weather conditions, being in December, everybody knows what December was around here. Our conditions were terrible, and even with that, we were out there freezing, working with these conditions. So we're now into December. So now we have to submit for a new foundation plan, which we did, and that was in March. So come March, we submitted for new foundation plans, and we ran into another obstacle. We ran into, again, once we put these foundation plans, now we had to submit for what we call a anchor bolt drawing, which basically the engineers will state how these anchor bolts are going to hold that kind of tonnage with what we already have to work with, because the building that we ordered was prefabricated, and sometimes those don't go hand in hand. So we had to revise complete plans, and at that time, we went ahead and again, did the revisions for those complete plans for the building plans. Those plans were submitted April 4th of 2019. They stayed with the city until, hold on, I got it here. They stayed with the city until May 15, and it wasn't until I inquired about them, is when, and I'm not here to name names, but one of the city officials said, oh, those plans, we haven't submitted them to the fire marshal yet. But anyway, make a long story short, I went and talked to Doug Bailey, who was the fire marshal, got everything cleared up, got the permits just recently on May 20. And just going back to what the council said, is the delay isn't from our end. We've been working diligently to make this happen, but when we have a permit that sits for a month and 10 days before it's looked at, and it was only looked at because I inquired about it, yeah, the mayor is definitely like not accurate with his comments. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. And I have all the timestamps. I have all the records for everything that we're talking about here.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good evening. I'm not going to be long. I don't want to hold you guys here. I appreciate you giving us the opportunity to talk. On November 20th, 2018, I reached out to the DPW director or acting director needing a sewer plan. Obviously, I have a chain of emails here that will outline what happened. I never received a sewer plan from DPW. Mr. Brooks, I want you to know that I really appreciate it. You sent me the sewer plans on March 15th, so I wanted to thank you for that effort. I'm a resident of the city of Dearborn Heights. I do want this project to come to completion. I look forward to working with the departments and making that happen. I'm just a little curious as if I've been paying $5,083.33 a month, how our mayor wouldn't know that, or how our director or one of our directors can say that the council agreed no rent to be paid until I had a certificate of occupancy. Director McIntyre, have you ever read the agreement? I mean, how do you make accusations like that? Just, you know, I mean, someone told you something that's untrue. Do you read the agreement? That's the lease that I have in my hand. Is that an assumption you made? I mean, are these to slander my name?
Speak to you and then through you to me, right?
Well, he's got a question for you because I guess it's something you said. Huh? Okay.
It's okay.
So
the conversation came up, and what I recalled was from the meeting that was held here in this council room, council chambers, council chair, it was you that made that suggestion that they not pay rent until they get a CFO. That's all I repeated. I know nothing about whether or not rent is paid. That's not part of my department. I wouldn't know. I was only repeating what had been discussed in this room several months back, that it was your suggestion, Council Chair, that they not pay rent until they get a CFO.
Absolutely,
And
but there was a time restriction on it, too.
That was just as a matter of reference. I wasn't making any accusations. I see Mr. Mackey all the time.
Thank you.
I see the builder all the time, and this is the first time I'm hearing, they both know that I've been temporarily assigned to look over the building department. This is the first time I'm hearing that there's issues with permits and that, and I'm welcome them to come see me, and we can try to get that going. But I'm glad that he asked me that question, because I heard Councilman Bazey, and then it was brought up again by their council that I made that accusation. I was only making a reference point to what you had said at that meeting.
No proof of that. The lease states exactly what the lease is. That was not the lease. That was just discussion. And that's not what came out in the end. Is that correct, Councilman Miyake?
Yes, that's correct. Because basically, actually, my recollection was that Councilman Muscat had actually raised the issue. You raised the issue with regards to the length of the fields vis-a-vis the building. 12 years versus 15 years. But you may have mentioned the other issue as well.
Right, because I do remember it that way, too.
And then we went out in the hallway and ended up working out a compromise, and I thought we had that done.
So, Madam Chair, I just want to make sure, I'm going to give you these emails. I want you to acknowledge them as I gave you the checks for the rent of 5 payments that were all paid. And I just want you to acknowledge that per my lease, I've been following all my rental payments, even though the mayor or the director misspoke. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Is there any other public comment at this time?
One more.
Name, address, and you have 3 minutes, please.
Hello, my name is Tarek Sino. I'm a resident in Dearborn Heights on 26333 Dockstader. Just a few concerns that I have had. Almost every night of this month at the mosque, people have been parking on the block, and I do not mind. It's my religion too. But the few concerns that I have is people have no respect. Yesterday when I was coming into my house and my mom and dad were in the car with me, someone was blocking my driveway and wanted to get out of the car. Got out of the car and I started high beaming him, and he just didn't want to get out. I told him, you need to move, I need to get in my house. He allegedly told me, and then he dropped the F-bomb, out of here. I told him, this is my residence, this is where I've been living. I've been living here for 12 years, and you can't tell me that. He then started cussing at me, and he got in his car and then pulled out at a high speed and squealed. When I called the cops had showed up, and I wrote a statement, and I told them. And they said that they can't do anything about it because there's no ticket that they can give for squealing, and the guy was parked over there. And on top of that, he was blocking the other driveway in front of me. Now, there's no person living in that house, but he's still blocking a driveway. So that means they have the intentions to block any driveway they want. They park on top of each other like it's nothing. And on top of that, Ford Road going westbound, when you want to turn left onto Kinlock, you're supposed to only park on one side, and they're parking on both sides. I almost got into a car accident 2 days ago, and there was a black Equinox behind me that was also trying to get into Kinlock. Now, when I almost got into a car accident, and I rolled down my window and I said, what's going on here? There was a cop down the block, and I told him, you guys need to do something. Now, I remember last year, they used to come before. Everyone used to come, and they used to control traffic. They used to put the flares on the ground, and it went smooth. I don't know why this year it's not happening, but there's a lot of problems, being on Dockstader. And on top of that, every morning I wake up and I go to work, I see a whole bunch of trash, and I always see someone picking it up, and then there's just always more trash, whether it's water bottles, napkins, papers. I see people walking randomly down the block. They have their flashlights on. I know some people just park in random people's driveways that there's no residents in those houses, but that doesn't give them the right to. So I just wanted to point out that concern. I've been living on that block for 12 years, and it was the most peaceful area, and we pay a lot of taxes. I mean, we're one of the highest taxpayers in Dearborn Heights, and it's just not fair to us at all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm sorry you have to go through that. Name, address, and you have 3 minutes, please.
Thank you. My name is Donna Miller. I live at 24695 McDonald Street in Dearborn Heights, and I'm a member of the Western Wayne branch of the NAACP. As an African American, I hear a lot of things going on about, your mosque. May I suggest, where is the mosque's preacher? He should be here. Call him into these meetings so that he can hear how the people feel.
The is just collecting his money.
And hopefully he'll be able to hear. You need to speak to him. Bring him in here. Maybe he'll come if someone in the council will invite him, because I hear your concerns, but there's no representatives here of the mosque, and they should be brought in.
Thank you very much.
Good evening, Zuhair Abdelhaq. I have a couple things to say. First, I want to apologize to Councilman Abdullah because I mentioned your name the other day about something that you were present in a meeting and you were not. The information I got was not correct. And as I promised you, I will apologize to you publicly for that mistake.
And as I told you, I don't need an apology. I just don't want false information out there. That's all.
It's my
I appreciate
duty.
it. Thank
Something
you.
I said. I owe you that.
Thank you.
I have a question for Mr. Mayatki. In 2012, we passed resolution, or I think ordinance. We changed an ordinance to let some people buy 3 years seniority. Now, why wasn't in the ordinance limit on when those people can pay for those 3 years?
I don't know what ordinance you're referring to, Mr. Abdelhak.
When-
I've done a number of ordinances about buying time, several of them, so I'm not sure which one.
I would like to draw your attention, maybe you can answer me later, but I would like to know why in that ordinance change, I believe it was 235, the number, I'll get you the number, I'll get you the information if you want, I'll call you with it. But when an ordinance is written, there must be a time for the people who bought the seniority to pay it. You cannot.
There is an election period, and then the time ends up being purchased. And all of them have been basically been drafted almost the same way. There's an eligibility window. There's a maximum amount of time that they can purchase. And then they have to end up making sure that before that ends up being approved or becoming part of the collective bargaining agreement, that we end up having an actuarial report as required by state law. So you know, like I said, I've done several of these over the years for the court, for general government, so I'm not really sure which one you're referring to, and I can't really answer
specifically the people who bought a 3 years seniority in 2012.
Mr. Abdelhak.
Okay, I will give you the number tomorrow. All I ask you,
Sure,
I would
or send
like
me an
to,
email.
Yeah, I would like to know why there
Council Chair
wasn't
wants-
any specific time and any specific amount of money paid. I know the minimum was $10 every time period.
Council Chair has
him
said that I can
Okay.
answer the question. If
I
you
would
can
like
send
to
me an
know
email,
that
and
because
we'll go from
really.
That way, yeah, that's
there
something
is
that I think you
questions
two need
that
to
need to be
communicate on,
answered.
and you can get your
Thank
answer
you.
there. Thank you.
Any further comments from the audience? Do I hear a motion to end our meeting? Oh, I'm sorry, sir.
Sorry, I forgot to mention one last thing. I know that when you park on a block, it's public parking, right? Correct?
Yes. Right.
So they can park there, which it's fine, but I just want to understand something. When you go to the mosque and all those people are parking there for the mosque, it's considered a business, right? It's considered business parking. So when I tried applying for a permit for my business, and you guys allegedly told me that, you know, you can't, well, we won't give you this permit because you don't have enough parking lot, even though I got the confirmation from my friend who owns a restaurant, and he said that I can use his parking lot, and you guys still told me no. There were side streets right next door that they could have parked there. So shouldn't it be limited on like where they park? Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like,
Yeah,
you
I know
guys
what
took
you're
that
saying.
away from me to pull a permit, and I tried starting a business. And you guys took that away from me because I didn't have enough parking spaces. Well, this guy is using a whole bunch of streets. It's not just Dockstader, it's Cecile, Simone, and the whole, like, Kinloch Park as well, too, the Central Park. And from what I know, anytime I've ever parked my car at Central Park, whenever my friends wanted to come pick me up, I was not allowed to park their car there. I've got so many calls saying, you need to come get your car, and I had to send someone to grab my spare key, go get the car, and then come back.
Okay, thank you. You know what? Let's
Madam
give it
Chair?
time to see what the chief will do for us, because he said he would work on it. So let's give him a chance to show us.
Okay.
Oh, I just was, for clarification, what he was referring to is when folks come in and they want to start a business, there's a site plan for every business. They calculate how many parking spots are going to be required. In some cases, if they don't have enough parking spots, they have come back with shared agreements, and we've approved those. The only thing I would, you know, this is a unique situation, I really believe it. Based on the size of the mosque, there's enough parking spots for what they anticipate the size of the mosque is in terms of folks coming in there.
There's no way.
Hang on.
Okay, point, come on. All right, point of order, let's.
That is a false statement, and they wouldn't be parking on our street.
Okay, point of
Okay,
order.
if I could just,
I know.
I'm not
let's
talking
stop.
about the
I'm not
expansion.
gonna have an argument here. Let's.
This weekend.
Okay, I'm going to finish my statement.
No.
Yes, I am. I have the right to respond to what they're saying.
Let him finish.
Okay,
I'll
finish
give you
it.
video proof. that-
Okay,
Okay.
ma'am, please, let him finish.
In the current in the current setup of the mosque, the way it is currently, I'm not talking about special events, and I'm not talking about their proposed expansion. In the current mosque parking lot site plan, based on how many folks come and pray there or participate in activities there, they have enough spots. If I can just make a quick example, McDonald's has to come in and, based on the square footage of their building, they have to have so many parking spots. But there may be days where McDonald's offers, you know, buy 4, get 4 free, and you're going to have the place loaded. That's what the issue is that we have to address, is what do we do on those occasions where people go beyond their site plan of what they're allowed to have in terms of the size of their building. That's what we have to kind of get around and figure out.
Okay, point of order.
I understand, Ms.
All
Reed.
right, at this point, let's just let the chief show us what he's going to do. I would just leave the rest.
I agree with him for what he's saying. That's understandable, but it's to a whole new extent, and I wouldn't mind it for the way they're parking, but they have no respect for the residents over there.
Okay.
If you guys can just talk to whoever is behind the
Let's
mosque,
give the chief, and yeah, maybe the chief can communicate
and just
with the
have him
mosque
tell
and
them
you-
to tell the other people just to respect, you know, the people that live around the area.
Let's let Councilman Abdullah address it at the mosque too, if
Please
he
do.
can.
Get everyone together.
No problem.
Thank you.
Let's work together on this.
Get done.
Okay,
We'll discuss that.
that's something.
Traffic division would have to evaluate that.
You'd have to
correct,
call the
Chief?
Department of Public Works and discuss that with them.
I think that's traffic.
Okay. Do I,
Support.
do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn. Move to adjourn.
Okay, I thought he was coming up. Okay, supported by Councilman Muscat. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Meeting is done.